Hey everybody, it's Amy from Magic and Light Collection. You can find all of our products at www.magicandlightcollection.com. So right now we're having a $20 off sale for the Vintage Spring Action set, and there's a ton of actions in this set. And today I thought we'd work with one of them called All-in-One Hyacinth. And here I have a picture of my mom's Westie, and she's super cute. So but the image, there's a couple issues going on here. It is a raw image, but the highlights are blown, my fault, and it's pretty dull, which is expected for a raw image. So we need to bump it up just a little bit. The first thing that I'm going to do to solve the problem of the highlights being blown is to use the camera raw filter. Now this would generally come up as soon as I open the image if it's a raw file, but I want to show you in Photoshop Creative Cloud how you can use the new camera raw filter that is included. So you're going to go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, and there you go. It brings up the raw filter as you would use it when it comes up when you open a raw file. So I want to just lower the highlights, and I'm just going to bring this highlight slider down. Now this can make your highlights pretty gray, but in this case these are really blown, and these are blown just to a level that is not going to be recoverable 100%, but I can at least make it just a little bit better using this filter. Okay, that's the only change that I'm going to make using the raw filter. And you can see that just brings those highlights back down a little bit. Still not 100%. It's blown here, a couple spots here, and all over the back. But that's okay. Let's go ahead and look at the set. Now I'm working in Photoshop Creative Cloud. The process is going to be exactly the same in Creative Cloud as it is in CS 3 through 6. And also Photoshop Elements. Elements users, the only difference you have is that your actions palette does not look like this. You're going to have thumbnails that you will double click. Okay, so this one's going to be really easy. I'm just going to find All-in-One Hyacinth and press play. And you can see it's running through the layers. It's going to look crazy when it comes through. Keep this in mind, crazy. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is just click off all of these layers. There we go. I just want to start with my basic photo. I'm going to go to Color Boost first, click it on, click it off. You can see it looks pretty good. I'm going to click on Hyacinth. That looks pretty good. Then we have Hyacinth Tint. That one's crazy. So what we're going to do, select the layer, go up to opacity, and just lower it to a level that looks pretty decent. If I go to 0, and then back up slowly, I can just monitor when it starts to look crazy. That's a good 44%. Next, I'm going to click the layer, warm it up. Crazy. That's okay. We'll just lower the opacity. These actions don't play the same on every single image. Some images you might play it and it's perfect. Some images you might play it and it's crazy. In that case, you just need to work through the layers. 22% looks good to me. Next, we're going to add contrast. And you can see this makes a big difference in the dullness of the image. So it's a little bit much on the contrast, so I'm just going to lower it a little. And I think 70% is good for now. Next, I'm going to click on the bleach layer. The highlights are already blown in this image, so we may or may not need the bleach. It does make the whites look pretty good, so I'm just going to take it down to 0 and then bring it back to a level that's decent. If you're wondering what effect a layer has on the image, just click this eye button to turn it on and off. You can see that bumps it up, boosts the whites, pretty good. Okay, so next we have the optional brushes. Light brush, dark brush, blush, bright lights, sharp brush, and then we have an optional haze that we can add to the image. Straight away, I want to go to the dark brush, turn it on. I'm going to click on the black layer mask, and I'm going to choose my brush tool, and I want to make sure that white is set as the foreground color. This is going to reveal the layer. So I'm going to make my brush small, and then I'm going to go over the dark areas. Okay, so you can see that's at 100% opacity, and that's not going to work. So I'm just going to back out of it, take the opacity of my brush down to 30%. It's always a good place to start. And then I'm just going to make sure that my layer mask is selected. And I'm going to put this layer on overlay because I don't want it to be quite so solid. Now we're just going to brush over the nose, the mouth, the collar. Okay, now we want to make the brush even smaller and go around the eyes. I'm going to take the opacity down a little bit more to 10% and just hit the dark area on the eyes. Alright, so you can see before the dark brush and after the dark brush. It really brings the areas that you want the viewer to focus on out a little bit more. And in this case, I really want the eyes to stand out because that's what's in focus. You can see where the plane of focus is, and it's the mouth area and the eyes. So now that's done, I want to go to bright lights. Now this is a layer that is intended for use on the eyes. So I'm going to make sure that it's clicked on, select my layer mask, make sure I have the brush tool and a white foreground color, and I'm going to pick this up to 50%, and then just using a really small brush, and you can zoom in, I'm just going to bump up the catch lights here. Okay, that looks pretty good to me, although I think I might have gone overboard on this one. So let me just check it out. Yeah, I went a little crazy. So I'm going to take that back down. Make sure that you have your brush tool selected. Change to a black foreground color. And then with a 15% brush, I'm going to go over this catch light a little bit and bring it back down to reality. Okay, next we have the sharp brush. So I'm going to click the layer mask, and then I'm going to need to change my foreground color back to white. With a bigger brush and the brush opacity set to 40%. That might be too high, but we'll see. I'm just going to go over the eye, both eyes, to sharpen the eyes. Might just sharpen up the mouth a little bit. If anything is not in focus, okay, so the nose is not in focus, the ears are not in focus, do not sharpen those areas. And in this picture, I'm not going to use the sharper image layer because this is going to attempt to sharpen the entire image. The only things that need to be sharp in this image are the eyes and the mouth, and maybe not even the mouth, but definitely the eyes. So that looks pretty good. Now there's an optional haze included with this Hyacinth action, and you can choose to use it or not. If I were to use it, I would just turn it down. That looks pretty good. And then I'll just brush that off of the eyes a little bit. Maybe even off of the nose. in the mouth. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And let's check out the before. This is the before. This is the after. You can see that's an incredible difference. It was pretty quick. It took me a little bit longer just because I'm doing this tutorial. But this definitely makes your workflow incredibly faster to get really great results. You can find all of our products at www.magicandlightcollection.com.